Bob Hope was the original king of all media, starring on vaudeville, Broadway, radio, film, and TV.
I think these were Mickey Rooney's tights, I'm not sure.
His writers hand-delivered 20 new jokes to his home each weekday, and they were all quickly shown the door if they couldn't bring the funny.
The Supreme Court ruled no more praying in school. From now on, the kids have to study to get good marks.
Oscar Gold consistently eluded the legendary entertainer, but he hosted the Academy Awards 18 times. He also had the longest show business marriage in history until Art Linkletter surpassed it after his death. But his infidelity was also one of Hollywood's most poorly guarded secrets, and he had a huge reputation as a philanderer, with an insatiable appetite for chorus girls and ingenues. Nostalgic Nick here with Do You Remember? And yes, today we are airing some of Bob Hope's dirty laundry.
Say, by the way, what did happen to those pajamas?
The guy made America laugh for over 80 years, and his commitment to the troops speaks for itself.
And everything's going up at home, prices, taxes, and miniskirts.
But was he really unfaithful to his wife, Dolores? A reporter once asked her that very question, and you'll hear what she had to say soon, as we learn all about the entertainment legend's 8-decade career and get to the bottom of all the salacious rumors. Before we dive in, please hit the thumbs up icon if you don't mind, it really helps. And subscribe to our channel for more nostalgia like this. Now I think it's time to tee off.
So I asked Arnold Palmer what I should do about my swing, and he said, why don't you just wait for Medicare?
An entertainer is born. Leslie Townes Hope was born in London, the fifth of 7 sons. He moved to the USA in 1908 and dropped out of school to pursue his dreams of stardom. The stage name Bob was chosen in tribute to the famous racer Bob Berman, and Hope got his first big break when the infamous Fatty Arbuckle pulled some strings and got him a steady gig. After conquering vaudeville, Hope made his film debut in the big broadcast of 1938. And that's where we hear his signature tune, Thanks for the Memory, for the very first time.
Thanks for the memory of rainy afternoons.
The Road Movies. Bob Hope's film and radio career took off in the 40s, and he became a major box office draw with Road to Singapore.
Boy, they were slower than Crosby's horses compared to these Singapore sirens. Get a load of that.
Bob Hope and Bing Crosby made 6 more road films together, and film historians call them the original buddy films, as the two entertainers had incredible chemistry in the films, but it was a different story when the director called cut. Bob once told a friend that he did not like the legendary crooner, and at times he detested him. Here's Johnny. Bob Hope, of course, had an open invitation from NBC to appear on The Tonight Show anytime he wanted, and he took up that invitation frequently and became Johnny Carson's least favorite guest. His scripted sketches weren't a good fit with Carson's quick wit, and the aging actor struggled to hear his questions during interviews.
Really what it is that there...
You know, you have all my sponsors there.
After one particularly awkward show, Carson reportedly told his writers that he wanted them to shoot him if he ever ended up like that. A Showbiz Wedding. In 1933, Bob Hope married Grace Troxell. She was a fellow cast member in his vaudeville troupe, and they fell in love. But that all changed when Dolores Reed joined the cast. Bob reportedly married Dolores in February of 1934 before officially divorcing Troxell that November. Unfortunately, no one has ever uncovered any photos from his wedding to Dolores or official public records of the ceremony. Whatever the case, Bob Hope came home to her for 69 years, and she wanted for nothing. The Secret Life of Bob Hope. Bob Hope signed his name to several ghost-written memoirs, but he never released an official biography. Groucho Marx's son Arthur was once one of Bob Hope's staff writers, and he penned The Secret Life of Bob Hope in 1993. The unauthorized biography claimed that Hope's success transcended show business. He had business interests in everything from oil to frozen orange juice, made appearances on both sides of the Atlantic, and had the ear of several presidents.
Bob, you do have a great way of making Washington funny. Even funnier than we politicians can make it.
But the book also characterized Hope as a womanizer with a very dark side. Publishers Weekly described the book as a hatchet job that breaks new ground in sleaziness. Richard Zoglin's 2014 biography, Hope, Entertainer of the Century, alleged that Bob Hope frequently had one-night stands with showgirls, dancers, and beauty queens. Most of the flings were very casual, and he usually didn't get romantically involved with co-stars or leading ladies. However, there were some notable exceptions. Doris Day. Bob Hope and Doris Day traveled together in 1949 for a promotional tour for the March of Dimes, and he reportedly told a friend that he had a brief fling on the road with the blonde bombshell. But Dolores was waiting for them at the Burbank airport when the tour ended, and she quickly marked her territory by giving her husband a huge hug to welcome him home. The illicit relationship came to an end instantly, and neither one of them spoke of it again. Que sera, sera.
Whatever will be, will be.
Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton was reportedly involved with Hope for a few months in 1949. The voluptuous, blue-eyed blonde was making a name for herself as an up-and-coming femme fatale, and she followed Hope around the country as he made appearances. Bob also paid the rent on her apartment and paid her off when their relationship ended a few months later. But that wasn't enough, and she sold her story to Confidential magazine in 1956, claiming that Hope was a, quote, mean-spirited individual with the ability to respond with a ruthless vengeance when sufficiently provoked. Well, okay then. Barbara Payton was married 5 times and frequently had trouble with the law. She reportedly spent several years as a prostitute after her film career ended, and she drank herself to death in 1967. She was just 39 years old. Marilyn Maxwell. Marilyn Maxwell was frequently compared to Marilyn Monroe, and the leggy young actress quipped that, quote, she was the blonde with her clothes on. Maxwell toured with Bob Hope's Vaudeville act and USO tours from 1950 to 54, and she co-starred with him in The Lemon Drop Kid and Off Limits. But things get juicy when publicist Frank Lieberman personally watched them check into a cheap motel together.
Twinkle, twinkle, that's kid stuff.
Honey, your fangs are showing.
And they were seen together so much, she earned the nickname Mrs. Hope on the Paramount lot. Maxwell was married and divorced 3 times, and she died of a heart attack in 1972 at the age of 50. Ursula Haloren. If Bob Hope had so many affairs, how did he get away with it? Perhaps it was because his publicists had a personal interest in helping their boss maintain a squeaky clean reputation. Bob Hope had a fairly open affair with Ursula Haloren, a member of his publicity staff. This was while they traveled to Russia together in 1958. The relationship ended when the trip did, and it all managed to stay out of the papers. Ursula Haloren died in 1963 from a drug overdose. Rosemary Franklin. Bob Hope crowned Rosemary Franklin Miss World of 1961, leading to a relationship that lasted nearly 30 years. He took the Welsh beauty queen on his 1961 Christmas trip to the Arctic and gave her a small part in his 1965 movie All Takes Sweden. According to Lieberman, Hope even called her the great love of his life. It's unknown what caused their relationship to end, and Franklin took that secret to the grave in 2000 when she died from a drug overdose. Did Dolores know? In 1978, a reporter asked Dolores if she thought her husband was, quote, 100% true blue, to which she replied, I doubt it. I think he's perfectly human and average and all that. Dolores Hope died in 2011 at the age of 102, and Zoglin concluded that Dolores Hope was almost certainly aware of his affairs. He also interviewed Bob Hope's daughter Linda, who believed her mother chose to look the other way. According to Linda, Dolores decided that he was worth going through whatever she had to go through to have the life and be Mrs. Bob Hope. She also believed the other women didn't have nearly as much significance to him as Dolores and his family. He received Kennedy Center honors in 1985 and is the only civilian ever to be named an honorary veteran by Congress. In 1998, he was even bestowed with an honorary knighthood by the late Queen Elizabeth II. But, to quote Dolores, he was human. Every celebrity has groupies, and Bob Hope was one of the biggest stars of any lifetime. It's unlikely that a celebrity could get away with so many affairs today, but things were different pre-internet Hollywood. He donated an estimated $1 billion to charity, but his staff still claims he was a notorious cheapskate.
Kid wants more money.
The great entertainer passed away in 2003, 2 months after his 100th birthday. But his death had been incorrectly reported in the news several times. In 1998, a pre-written obituary was accidentally posted by a wire service and subsequently announced on the floor of the US House of Representatives. Bob got the news when a reporter called his home asking for comment, and his family reported that he was amused by the mistake. Of course, Bob Hope would be amused. But enough of me, now I want to hear from you. Do you still like Bob? Do you love Bob? Or do you think Dolores deserved better? Did you ever watch one of the awkward Tonight Show airings? Or are you a veteran who got to see him perform live? Get in the comment section and tell me all things Bob Hope. And before you go, please hit that thumbs up icon to show us support. And subscribe to our channel so you never miss a memory. Thanks for supporting Do You Remember? And thanks for the memory.